Recording. Camera rolling. Will you speak?
Yes. The lift is 1 minute away, so here we go. Oh my gosh, look at this. It's like purple.
Okay.
Everyone, I'm Ryan Martell. This is Young People Talk About the Theater episode 2. We are going to see Alec Silver at Chicago Shakespeare Theater. That's our lift over there, so let's go.
This is pretty strange and surreal. This is the beautiful lobby.
There he is.
Yes, the man himself. The reason why we're all here. Every day I take this walk and walk through this door, and behind this door, no muggles are allowed. Here we are. This is the backstage. Here is the ladies' dressing room. Here is the costume shop. Here. So much magic goes in there. They're all lovely. Lovers and Puck and Oberon's dressing room. And here is my dressing room. Yes, oh please do. This is where the mechanicals and the fairies hang out, prepare. The amount of banter that goes on in this room is brilliant. This is my spot. I learned very early on that actors like come in and like decorate their spots with things that like mean things to them.
Is this from the show?
Yeah, this is from the show. Got them from the theater on opening night, and I really love them, especially the cast picture, because this cast has gotten quite close with one another, and it's I wasn't expecting us to get so close, being like a big equity theater, but everyone seems to love everyone for the most part, and it's really beautiful.
And how many shows do you have left?
We've got 1 tonight, 2 tomorrow, and 2 the next day, so 5. Yeah.
That's it.
And then we dust our hands off.
Okay. So what's your routine like here?
The first thing I usually do is I brought my toiletries bag, and I get my shaving cream and razor, and I shave my face, because every day there's like the tiniest little bit of stubble that comes up, and it's because I'm supposed to be playing a 14-year-old kid.
Can't have it.
And I literally mentioned the fact that I have a beard coming.
Oh yeah?
I have to make sure that I'm as clean shaven as. Then after that, it takes me super quick to get into costume. Here are some of my costumes here, and you'll see soon the Punisher shirt coming out. Let me show you the green room. This is the green room. This is
It's an olive.
yes, olive
green.
olive green. The amount of napping that goes on these couches is ludicrous. On 2 show days, there's like a convening around these tables, and everyone gets their lunch. But
will you leave the space much if you have 2 shows, or just stay?
usually on 2 show days, I like bring my computer or a book and like get work done between the shows, or take a nap, or just read or chat with the other people who are hanging out.
And this is the stage?
Yes.
So you can see.
We've got like a feed of the stage, and we oftentimes will find like members, cast members back here, just like watching it. All right, let's continue on.
Okay.
This is the path that I take to get on stage. There are these little stations of like Ricola cough drops and water and tissues and like lots of little things that you can.
Right before you go on.
Yeah, that you can like take a sip of water right before you go on. It's pretty genius. A little props shelf and another feed so that we can see the stage right before we enter. This is my bench that I take on. It's the first thing that I do in the play.
So this is your prop.
Then this is the stage.
Wow.
I hadn't seen a ton here before working here, but the amount of just resources that this theater has is astounding.
How long have you been rehearsing?
We started rehearsing November 9th, or no, November 6th, and then officially opened the show December 14th. So, but more or less we had about a month of rehearsals, and then we started doing performances, and it's been like 6 days a week ever since.
Not backstage.
Loading dock is in that direction. Like it's again like the scale of this facility is just mind blowing, and I feel very small, but also very like supported with so many moving parts going on. Like you can see up there, these are boxes of like hats, different hats, every type of hat you could possibly want. I feel so lucky to be part of a system this large and this well funded.
Seriously. Bard's house.
We have matinees scheduled Sunday.
Good show.
We welcome you to Chicago Shakespeare Theater.
Thank you.
You totally look like
I'm.
Alright, let's get out of here.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, this way.
Down this way, okay.
Follow Alec.
Car, enter your license plate and see your car's value in real time.
Hey there, Showbiz Shelley. Yellowtail Wines deliver epic taste in every
Thank you
bottle.
so much. God, I wish we could get closer to us. Just keep it right there. Let's find out how it looks.
I think that's good.
That's better.
I like that.
That's definitely better. Okay, let's stay there. All right, hi everyone. So here we are. I'm with Alec, and we're just gonna talk a little bit about the show and the experience and all that kind of stuff.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. So I want to start with, just for people who don't know you, like, can you talk a little bit about your background? I mean, I know I've known you for forever, so. But for other people watching, how would you describe just your process into becoming an actor?
Sure. Yeah. I was born in New York, but I would say that I grew up in Vermont from the ages of like 8 through high school. And when I was 12, I ended up taking a clowning class, and that class was my first step into performing. Up until that point, I was like a really weird child doing children things that you do, like make faces and noises, and there wasn't really a way to focus any of that. Like it was just like me being a weird kid.
Mm-hmm.
But clowning seemed to be like a really great way to focus it and to put that energy into something constructive. Then over the course of my middle and high school career, I basically auditioned for as many things as I could possibly do at New England Youth Theater. Did like 30 something plays, and always knew that I wanted to study theater from that point on, just because it felt like the clearest way that I could use my voice, and it felt like my voice.
So you always just kind of knew, like, oh, I'm gonna go to college for this. I'm gonna do this professionally.
There was a period of time where I was like, maybe I should be a dentist, because I heard that dentists made money, and I was like, I'm a fun guy. Maybe I could put the fun back in dentistry. Like, no, no. Of course you're not going to be a dentist. Go be an actor. And so yeah.
And so you did, yeah. So I remember, maybe like around when I first got here talking to you, and you were like, yeah, I've been in Chicago for 5 years, it was,
Mm-hmm.
and you were like, I feel like I'm just getting to the point where I like have built up my reputation in this city, like maybe I could start getting these parts. And now I feel like you're kind of doing what you were talking about with that.
I feel like it's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Since that conversation, this feels like a really important first step into this world of equity theater,
Mm-hmm.
which is very different from non-equity theater, from devised theater, from all of the work that I have done in the past. There are just a lot more. There's a lot more regulations and sort of rules that have been agreed upon by like Actors Equity that I'm just not super familiar with at this point. And in exchange for that, you get like financial security. You get your time really respected for like the amount of time that you spend working on a project or like adhering to strict break times.
Right.
And it's a really it's been a really eye-opening experience, but I do think that I've only taken the first step of being like, oh hey, by the way, here I am.
Right.
And that I think a lot of luck went into taking this step, and hopefully now it will become easier to take the next step until I can start to walk and gain momentum in being able to do work and get paid for the work that I want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's, besides kind of like these equity rules and whatever, this conduct of professional theater, is there anything else that's really different about doing it than like the, the smaller stuff that you come from, or the devised stuff like you were saying? Like when you're up there performing, does it feel different?
It's different because the house, the audience is bigger.
Are you mic'd?
I'm not mic'd. There's certain characters that are mic'd, but I wouldn't attribute the difference in playing on the stage to equity versus non-equity, I would just say that like it's, as an equity house, it's more likely to seat more people and be a bigger space, and that is a really, that is another thing that I've adjusted to in of itself, of figuring out how to play on a thrust stage, where oftentimes my back is to a good number of people.
Right.
And making sure that I am able to include as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, I just partly bring that up because I was curious, and it was cool watching you, because I was like I said, like, it doesn't look, I would never guess that like you hadn't done something like this before, and that just made me proud of like all the work. I feel like all the work that we do outside of big places like this translates.
I definitely feel that the transition from going from a smaller space to a bigger space, I feel very grateful of like very the ability to have a larger playing space than I am used to doesn't intimidate me, but it is a great gift that not everyone gets to have, and especially not at the age that I am. And so I feel incredibly grateful to have just been able to step out onto a stage that big, and just do my work.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What can you talk about how movement plays into your process? I mean, I definitely think of you as I don't know, movement-based or driven actor, and I wonder how that kind of came to you, or if you would even agree with that.
I definitely identify as an actor who puts movement at the forefront. I think that I believe that all theater is physical theater, simply because there are actual physical beings on the stage, and everything that those bodies are doing is conveying information, whether the actor or performer means it or not. And so when I'm trying to figure out who my character is, I often approach it first from where does this character physically live in my body, or how must I change my body or acknowledge within my body to make myself feel like this character. And
Do you feel like you always did it that way, or like is that kind of something you sort of developed early on, like with clowning?
I mean, my start was in clowning, and I think it was something that I always inherently did on impulse, that since growing up and going to school and doing my own research, I have been able to articulate better and put names to, rather than just be like, I don't know, I'm acting.
Right.
There has always been a physical attention that I have given to my work as an actor, and I think I am only now beginning to really be able to like talk about it and attempt to describe how, in addition to like what happens.
And do you think that's useful, being able to put names to it?
I think so, because especially when I am talking to people other than myself about
Right,
the work
right.
of being able to describe specifically what I'm doing or what I'm intending to do is really helpful if I'm trying to get help with a role or a moment or teach or movement direct, which is something I'm finding more and more interest in. But yeah, the physical life is very important to me, and like even like finding the physicality of like a punk 14-year-old kid and making sure that I know what it is I want my body to do in order to convey that information, because I don't speak very much as that kid. So my body is the biggest, the loudest voice that I can speak with, as it is for many kids, of just like the way that their posture and physicality shows how much they have checked out or how much they're engaged.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's. I think each actor is different in what kind of specificity they really attach to. Like you have to find those places where you aren't just swimming, and wherever that is varies. But yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a little change of subject, but what do you think about Shakespeare?
I love doing Shakespeare, and I think that Shakespeare is, and a lot of classical work. I would pair the Greek plays alongside Shakespeare. I feel that there is a universality and ritual primal quality to the plays that Shakespeare writes that almost acts as a semi-blank canvas of there is a framework, there is almost like a coloring book where you see the lines, you see the general shape of the play, but then it is up to us to then color the play. And because Shakespeare has been done throughout time, through the ages, there is a certain freedom that a director or producer or actor has when doing Shakespeare's work that is not as present in more contemporary works, because the contemporary work is it has a very present and specific time and place that because the play hasn't existed for very long, it doesn't really feel right to change it because you want to respect the playwright's intentions. Shakespeare, while you could argue that Shakespeare has left in the written word of his plays, he has left a lot up to directorial interpretation. There are very minimal stage directions. The descriptions of the scene and the setting are within the dialogue rather than described, and so there is an ability to really stage it anywhere. You can stage Shakespeare in the period that it was written. You can stage it today. You can stage it anywhere in the world, and I think that is one of the that paired with how precise and deep the poetry that he writes is something so unique when it comes to approaching a play, because you can really change and interpret different words, like many of the words that Shakespeare uses have multiple different meanings, multiple different directions you could put them in, and all of his characters exist in today's society. Like, his characters are you and me, and our kings and queens, and
So yeah, how, like, where do you
see theater going?
Yeah, where do you see theater going, and how do you want to be a part of it?
I think that in the end, theater needs to, as a medium, has to lean in to the fact that lean into the humanity that is the art form. I think theater has the most connection to our humanity, like, it's human beings watching other human beings be human beings and go through the most extreme human experiences that you can go through, and there is a bit of a push for theater to emulate film, which I don't think is wrong, but film does film so well, like, of showing those glimpses. There can be a certain leaning into of the suspension of disbelief that when you go to the theater, you are exercising your imagination in imagining that, like, we're in a wood right now, or these people are doing magic on stage even though they're just moving their bodies accompanied by sound and things. We don't need to see all of the graphics that something like film can offer us, because we as an audience are projecting and filling in the gaps ourselves. And so I think that is where the direction that I would like to take theater toward, through crazy, weird, non-traditional theater.
Cheers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are coming to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if you can show us your little show and tell item.
Sure.
So this is just something that has been meaningful to you throughout the process of working on this show.
Yes. This is a book called After Anatevka. It was written by my friend who plays Titania in Midsummer Night's Dream. She lent this to me just to read. It's a novel inspired by Fiddler on the Roof, and it, to me, it represents several things. First of all, it represents the depth that we as artists go in connecting to the characters that we play. Alexandra Silber played Hodel in Fiddler on the Roof, and this book is a epilogue in a way, and there is a certain meditation on who these characters are, that Al has sort of poured herself into, poured her research into, that is, I think, mirrors our own research pouring ourselves into a character and mining for depth. And it's also this book was an offering of community to me as well, of connecting with one of my castmates, and I had no idea in coming into a big theater what the community was going to be like, whether we would hang out, whether we would get to know each other outside of the rehearsal room, and it to me this was like a very intimate offering of like, get to know me, get to know my work. I would like to get to know you, and I feel very lucky to have been offered that and to be soaking in the words that she writes.
That's perfect.
Yeah, so yeah, After Anatevka by Alexandra Silber, buy it.
Check it
because
out.
it is truly a very great read. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Alec. It's
Mhm.
been really great. So great.
Yes, thank you,
Yes,
Mariah.
of course.
And thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
And thank you all. We will see you next time.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.